Welcome to the Haunted Chronicles episode 137. Today should be a national holiday because the Karate Kid himself, Ralph Macchio, was born on this day, November 4th. But don't go running ahead and looking it up and Googling it because we're going to get to him on celebrity birthdays soon. Our guest tonight is Dave Bray. Dave Bray is waiting patiently in the Haunted Chronicles green room, sipping on some hot cocoa, and will join us shortly. This episode is sponsored by An Evening with Annabelle. The next event will be held on November 19th. Visit warrens.net for ticket information. And also, we have a few friends and former guests of the show that have books available. Victor Salazar's book, An Honest Evil, Deacon's Journal, Sharon Clark's book, Voice in the Dark, and Sherilyn Carter, Whispers Beyond the Grave, so check them out too. I am Mr. Haunted, joined by Jennifer Jigglypuff Runyon and Brock the Wild Weedle Burrows.
Woohoo! Hey,
Jigglypuff. How are you guys?
We're oh gosh.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. I went to Maine, and I flew. For one day, it took me 12 hours to get home. How is that possible? But it did. But I'm home. I'm safe, and I'm still recovering. That was my week.
How was it? Who did you see there?
Oh, it was the cast of Christine, the movie, and there were some wrestlers there. Though Jake the Snake, an actor by the name of Tony Todd, we all know from Candyman, who is. Oh, he's so cool. He is the nicest man ever. And, just another guy by the name of Robert Mukes. He was in House of a Thousand Corpses. You guys probably would know him if you saw him. He's awesome. He's like 7 feet tall. And, he's great.
Oh, big guy like me.
Yeah. What about you, Brock? What was your week like?
It wasn't bad. We're down here in Cary, North Carolina, to where we have to play the university, Duke University, tomorrow. And the guy who normally helps me with headsets, he's actually decided to drive his RV down with his wife. Oh. So we're in the Embassy Suites, and I got a whole suite to myself. So I'm sitting out in the living room part, just chilling.
You're always sweet to yourself.
I know. You got to be sweet to yourself.
You do.
But yeah, it's been a good week. I'm curious though how the Mr. Haunted of the hour is, how he's doing.
Before I get to that, I just had something on my mind and I got to get it out before I lose it, because I write notes and then I lose them and they're gone forever. You know how we talk about certain words or expressions that are like not used very much anymore?
Yes, like my favorite thing. Right? Yes.
So I don't know where this came from, but I remember, I don't know if it was my mother or grandmother, that I guess, me and my sister made a mess as a kid in the house or something, and she came home and she goes, "This house is in shambles."
Yes, shambles.
Does anybody say shambles?
Nobody.
I do.
Do you say shambles? You know what's another one? I think I might have said this before. Forgive me if I have. Another one that you never hear, and I didn't even know this one. A stumble bum.
I've heard of a stumble bum.
I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of a stumble bum.
Yeah, it's nice, I guess.
Yeah, my husband's father told him, you go to school in life so you don't become a stumble bum. I'm like, what the heck is a stumble bum? There you go.
And then when I remembered the shambles thing, it reminded me, I want to do a whole show. We all do it. We all say words that are incorrect,
Oh, sure.
And I have a list of them, and I really want to do a show on that. And I watched this episode of like the first 48 or something like that. And the chief of police, this is the frickin' chief of police. She went into a crime scene that was an apartment, and it was a mess. And she goes, "It looks like this place has been ransacked." And I thought that was the funniest thing because, it's supposed to be ransacked, but ramsacked is funny because it kind of makes sense. Like, like a ram ran through it and made a big mess.
Yeah.
So plus her little Leslie's heart there.
And I have a famous word that Dave just cringes every time I say it. Scientifical.
Scientifical.
That's not real?
Yeah, I thought it was real. Oh, Dr. Dave's rolling his eyes at all of us right now.
Yeah.
Before I keep going on with this, so I am happier than the yellow-beaked eastern toohey perched on a branch of starlight mints and candy canes like he's freaking Joe Montana or something.
Nice. Joe Montana.
I don't know where that came from. So our guest tonight is co-founder and lead investigator of Eastern Connecticut Paranormal Society, and his partner, I think, is Chris, is in the chat tonight, David Bray, and Dave has graciously agreed to join us with the celebrity birthday game. David, are you there?
Hey guys.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
How did you enjoy the green room?
How's it going?
Our snacks and drinks?
Oh, that cocoa's great.
Isn't it? It's the best. Did you get the one with the marshmallows?
I always get the marshmallows.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
I put those in there.
So we have good birthdays. Thank you, Jennifer, for preparing that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Our first scary movie celebrity birthday, celebrating a birthday today, actually, Ralph Macchio. He was in Crossroads, The Outsiders, Outer Limits, A Good Night to Die. He was Jeremy in Eight is Enough. And, of course, Daniel LaRusso, winner of the Under-18 All-Valley Karate Championships, the Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio. How old will Ralph be?
All right, Dave, since you're our guest, you go first. What do you think?
Ralph Macchio, Karate Kid was in the 80s, was 53.
Ooh.
Oh, Dave's good.
Dave, very good. I'll say 55.
Oh, no fair. That's mine. I say 55.
You could say it too.
I'm going to one-up you.
Okay.
56.
Oh, okay.
According to my record, Ralph Macchio will be 55 years old.
Oh! Man.
All right, there's your one.
Stuck.
How about Sally Field, who is known for the TV series Gidget, The Flying Nun, the miniseries Sybil, and the movies Norma Ray, Smokey and the Bandit, Mrs. Doubtfire, and was Mrs. Gump in Forrest Gump. And I believe she was never addressed by her first name. She's always Mrs. Gump, or Mom. Mrs. Gump.
Mm.
How old will she be next week?
66.
I'm gonna say 70. I'm gonna go 70.
Dang it. That's what I was going to go with, too. And since you had
go
it
with
right,
me.
I'm
with
going
me.
with you. 70.
She will be 70.
Yeah.
Boom.
All right, let her
Jennifer's
guess.
on fire. Yeah, Jennifer's on fire.
And our last celebrity birthday is Christopher Knight.
Oh.
It seems like yesterday we did his, right?
Right?
Yeah. He was in the 1989 thriller Curfew, and he starred in the soap Another World and A Very Brady Christmas with your host, Jennifer Jigglypuff Runyon, and was Peter Brady, a.k.a. Phil Packer, in the Brady Bunch. How old will Peter Brady be this week?
Mm-hmm.
Here.
David?
I'm going to say 55.
Okay. 55. I am going to say, and I really don't know, but I think I'm right, is 57.
I'm going with that, 57.
Well, you're all very nice to Christopher Knight. He'll be 59.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know, so
I didn't either.
And you know what? We also have a chat room birthday. It's our former guest Tony Filozzi's birthday today in the chat room, I believe.
19.
Oh, happy birthday. Happy
Thank-
birthday, Tony.
Thank you, Tony. So, David, what's our first question for David? David, how did you become interested in this field? How about that one?
Oh, that's I don't have anything really fascinating or interesting. Pretty much just grew up watching sci-fi, watching horror movies. Just got involved in it that way. Ended up as a teen going to a lot of abandoned places with friends. Kind of amateur investigator, so to speak. That's really it. Just kind of eased into it.
Wow. What kind of places did you go to?
Dudleytown once.
I've been there multiple times. Have you experienced anything there?
Patrolling it too much. Well, when we went, we brought extra batteries for flashlights and all that stuff, and nothing was working. So we walked about maybe a mile or two into the woods and then turned right back around.
Ooh.
And I keep promising we're going to do a whole Dudleytown episode one day.
Yeah, I want to know about Dudleytown. You guys have to tell us about that, too. I don't know about it. Is it creepy?
Wicked.
Wicked creepy.
Yeah. Creepy.
Wicked.
And Dave, we talked about a couple of cases that you're presently working on, and was it Captain Grant's?
Yeah, we did Captain Grant's.
And what is Captain Grant?
It is a bed and breakfast in Preston, actually. It's been on a couple different TV shows that I know of. It was actually built by Captain William Grant, I think I want to say 1754. Built it for his wife, Mercy, I believe. Super old, though. I think it was a garrison for Revolutionary War soldiers back in the day. And I think Civil War slaves were actually part of that as well during the Underground Railroad.
Questions, fellas?
So when did you guys go on this investigation? Was this just recent? And what came of it?
I believe it was in this past year. We actually ended up renting out the entire, I think there's like 6 rooms or something like that. We actually rented out all of the rooms, so we had the place completely to ourselves.
Oh, how fun.
Yep, we did an overnight investigation. So we split up the rooms. I actually ended up staying in the Adelaide room, which is supposed to be the most haunted, has most activity.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing happened in the room while I was in there, but we were doing a session in the attic with a flashlight. So we put the flashlight on the ground, we put some cameras on it, and we had it off. And we asked some questions, and we, answered yes, turned the flashlight on. And we were actually had a full conversation with what we believe to be children spirits on the property. And we actually have some evidence of that on our YouTube channel, if people want to check that out.
And how do they get to your YouTube channel?
You can go to our website, easternctparanormal.com. There's all links right at the top for all of our accounts, SoundCloud, YouTube, Instagram, you name it.
Right. And that's Eastern Connecticut. On Facebook, it's Eastern Connecticut Paranormal. You can find them there. And they have a website, easternctparanormal.com. And we'll be sharing links in the chat room also.
So can I ask you, what is some of the activity that's been reported there?
You name it. Shadow people, footsteps up in the attic, full body apparitions, children report talking to, no one, or parents report their kids talking to the air, really. and they could swear that there's children there. Doors opening, closing, TV going on and off, kind of your typical paranormal activity.
Now, Dave, I started also, of course, it was before the internet because I'm old, and we just went to places that were known to be haunted in the area, like you went to abandoned places or urban legend type places. And how did you get transitioned into private residences?
So I tried making a couple different teams, but it never worked out. It seemed that no one was really dedicated enough or took it seriously enough. Everyone just wants their cheap thrills, so they think it's all fun and game. So I actually, last year, on Halloween, we did an investigation in Enfield, and that's where I met Chris. So we worked together that night doing the investigation and realized that we had really good chemistry. We worked really well together. So him and I started talking. We decided to form a team to kind of get away from a lot of the drama out there in the paranormal world, at least in Connecticut. And we've been going strong ever since. We put up the social media accounts. We started advertising. Word of mouth got around, and people just started calling us.
And I also want to say that Dave, if you follow his page, you go live a lot when you're on an investigation. Like he'll videotape.
We do. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's nice.
Yep.
What was the last one you did on when you went live?
That was last weekend. We did a pretty serious case in Wallingford.
What happened? What was the reports there? And was it a resident?
The reports were he was sleeping and he got something pulled him a couple inches, almost like off the bed. The doorknobs were shaking. Like he has 4 daughters. The daughters were reporting their feet being grabbed. When we went there for our initial interview, my teammate Melissa and I were in the basement, and we actually smelled sulfur. That got us a little concerned right off the bat there, but so we did that over the weekend, and we're going through the evidence right now. But he actually called me the night after, so Sunday night, and I had to go over there at about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, because activity was just crazy.
I had a question for you. No, okay, so oh God, it just went out of my head. I had this great question. It just went north, went over me. Okay, I'll remember it and come back.
I got one.
All right.
Did you find out, was there a previous history of the house, or did it just start when they moved in, or do you know?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Okay,
there was history.
So they were there. They've been there, I think, about 4 or 5 months, so not that long. But the building is, I want to say, from the 1800s. There's there's a tenant on each floor, and there's 3 floors. They share the basement, and there was an older man who actually fell and hit his head or something and died in the apartment. He was an alcoholic as well. So that's kind of where we were heading. But Chris actually was picking up that there's possibly 2 attachments, and one of them is actually attached to the owner, not just the household. So
that man may have been a stumble bum, Jennifer.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Right? Dear Lord.
So were you on in the investigation? Are you going back and forth, trying to figure out what it is, or where do you go from there?
Yeah, well, once I went back the next night, he called me yesterday. It seems to have calmed down. That was on Halloween too, pretty much. So we all know what Halloween is like for the paranormal, but it calmed down so far. we're pretty much on call right now. We're going to go through the evidence to see if we can get some more answers. And we always do a follow-up. So we visit clients 3 times. We do an interview, an investigation, and then a follow-up where we give them evidence and copies of reports.
How long does it take? Like when you do this, like, and you go and you meet the family, then or your clients, then you go back and you investigate, and then you go do for a follow up. How long does it take for you guys to go through all your evidence?
Oh God, we've gotten so busy lately that every single weekend we're doing investigations. We're actually starting to plan like a Friday, Saturday investigation sometimes because we're getting so busy, and we all work full time. Wow. So we're trying to go through evidence all on the side. So we're actually playing catch up right now. But
wow,
usually if we just have one case, we can get the evidence done in a week or 2. I mean, Captain Grant's was a huge case, and we got that done I think in 2 weeks, and then set up the follow up to meet with the owner and give her everything.
Yeah, it's so funny because I've been there before where you're trying to play catch up, and it seems like you'll never catch up.
Yeah, that's pretty much where we're at right now.
It's not fun because a lot of people, and that's the thing, a lot of people don't understand. They see these TV shows and they rush out, oh, I want to do that. But they don't understand, a lot of times you may not get anything during the investigation, but when you go back to review, that's when you get a lot of your data and things that say, I want to clip that and listen. And, in going through that sometimes is outrageous. And it's even worse when you have video, too. And it's because, for me, I can't watch and listen at the same time. I know some people can, but I can't. So it's like double the evidence, double the material to go through.
Wow.
Right, and we have 8 IR cameras that we set up sometimes. So we're going through 6 hours each camera. It's pretty time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's probably why you get people jumping on, like, when you said you were having trouble getting a team together, everybody wants to do it until they realize exactly what. Yeah, and then they have got to go through all this evidence, and that's the monotonous part, that I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I had a question about the members in the house that you were talking about earlier, the 4 daughters. What are their ages approximately, yep. and does the activity focus on those mostly? On them?
Right. One of them is just a baby. The other 3 I want to say are up to 12, maybe. But so that was something that we focused on. Was he has his wife and his 4 daughters, which is a lot of energy in a smaller apartment. So we were looking at that as possible, poltergeist activity. He walked in the door a couple times the other day, and all of the cabinets in the kitchen were wide open.
Oh, that's creepy.
But once it's funny though, because when he called me, we gave him some ideas and some things to do to maybe calm the activity, and he's been keeping the kids a little bit calmer, so they're not running around like crazy all the time, and activity's actually slowed down.
Dave, have you noticed in your investigations after they make the initial phone call to you for help, or you investigate for the first time, that the activity drops or picks up?
Can you say that again?
When you go to a case, when somebody first reaches out for help, do you notice that the activity picks up or goes down after the initial call or first investigation? Do you notice that at all?
Oh, okay. I would say it usually calms down, or we at least educate them enough, because that's kind of what we're about. We just want to help people, and a lot of that sometimes is just educating them on what spirits are and how you can essentially live with them. And they're kind of like kids in a way. You can just put your foot down, and in a lot of cases, and just say, you're not allowed to lay your hands on me. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do that. And they will behave, or they have to leave. So once you kind of empower them, let them know what they're dealing with, they tend to be happy with the result.
So did you talk with the kids? I mean, obviously not the baby, but the little girls, did you have a chance to interview them, or do the parents keep them, pretty separate from everything?
Yeah, the parents were trying to kind of keep them out of it as much as possible. But I mean, sometimes we do end up interviewing the kids, or at least one of us will. But this case, not really. I only talked to the oldest one when I was there after the investigation briefly, and she said that she actually saw her dad pulled off the couch when he was sleeping.
Oh, how scary for her. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know you're still going through your evidence and stuff, but with all this kind of violent activity with the kids getting pulled and the father thrown off the couch, do you have a theory yet of what it might be?
We're going back to that, the two attachments idea. The father and the husband, he travels for work, so he's been in Newport, he's been everywhere. And I know with his past, with things that he's had to deal with in his life, he's been susceptible to attachments, and we think that someone followed him home. And then we think that there's also possibly that old man who is still in the household.
Okay. We are at our halftime break. We're talking to Dave Bray of the Eastern Connecticut Paranormal Society, and we'll be right back in a couple minutes. Welcome back to the Haunted Chronicles, home of your guaranteed halftime shout out for our people in chat. And all these people joined us this week. And also, I want to thank this over 60 people that shared our event page this week. Thank you for coming, Debbie D, Dr. Dave, para moderator Paul, Sprinkles, Tiffany, Indy Dwayne, Maggie Renee, Cheryl Carter, Valerie, Susan, Colin, Doug, Nicholas, Mark, Max, Dead Dude Chad, Chris, Tony, Mel, Nina, Beal, Mama D, Nina, Frankie B, and also Scary CPA have axe. Very scary.
I'm scared.
And next week, our guest is going to be Lucky Belcamino of the New England Paranormal Society. She's joining us next week. And Jennifer, do you have the first question for our second half?
I do. So, Dave, you were at break kind of giving us a couple of suggestions of stories that or locations you've been at. Tell us about Windsor.
All right. So we're currently working on this case in Windsor. Funny how we got the case. I was actually approached online by this guy who lives in Seattle, and he found us online and actually said that he's been consulting on this case in Connecticut, and he needs a local team to go in there and check it out. We just started really working on it last week. There was another pretty known team in the Connecticut, Massachusetts area working on it, who's been taking a very traditional Christian approach to exercising what's in the house, and all religious approaches have seemed to be ineffective so far.
Whoa. So tell us about the investigation. How long did this investigation take?
So we actually are not going to do an investigation.
Not at all?
Reason being, nope, because...
Okay, you guys went out for a minute.
whatever.
I missed that part. My thing must have gone out. I missed you saying that. Okay, so go on.
So, this entity or whatever this is actually steals things and it destroys equipment. There's been numerous paranormal teams that have gone in there and they don't get any evidence with anything whatsoever. Cameras break, things like that. You'll put your car keys down for 5 seconds, you'll turn around and they're gone, and you're not getting them back.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Wow.
There needs to be like a paranormal lost and found.
I have a quick story. Quick. My cousin, she lived in a haunted house all her life. They bought it, and she doesn't even want me to go there because she doesn't want to disturb the spirit because they kind of became friendly with it. But when she first bought a new car, like you said, she left the keys on the table, and years later, they never found them again. They were just disappeared. They got new keys. Years later, they were remodeling, and they were knocking down a wall, and the keys were inside the wall.
Okay, that's
Shut
really
up.
weird.
Wow.
Ooh.
She won't even let me go.
Oh, I want to
sorry,
go.
Dave. Please continue.
Sorry, David. That was just creepy.
No, so religious approaches are not working, and I know when this previous team showed up, it actually left them a message on the computer. It typed something to them that almost was like mocking them.
Wow.
Yeah, and so the only thing that's actually working is this guy in Seattle he's a hypnotherapist, and he does a lot of different kinds of chakra balancing, qigong, astral meditation, and things like that. So the energetic attacks are seeming to be the only thing working. So we're actually doing some like covert operations here tomorrow, where the owner has no idea that he's flying in, and we're going and showing up randomly tomorrow.
Wow.
What did the message say on the computer?
I have no idea, but I know that he has a home office, and it'll turn on his computer and type messages to him, basically saying that, hey, I'm going to hide if you try to get help. So that's why no one gets any evidence. It's threatened to cut the brake lines in his car before it rips up his checks from work. I mean, it steals his car keys. He's gone through 4 phones in the past year, and every time he buys a new one, the old one randomly shows up like on his bed or something.
Not exactly a friendly spirit there.
Yeah, no way. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's pretty miserable. He wants this thing gone. So
We had a question in the chat before about, do you find it difficult or more stressful when working in a home with children?
Yeah, good question.
when we investigate, we have a rule that we will not have kids in the house at all.
Yeah, I learned that a long time ago when we first started. You're reviewing your video and audio evidence, and you hear a dog barking constantly or a baby crying in the other room, and yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, and I think what they kind of meant by that question is if you're there to help someone who has small children that may be seeing things or getting the brunt of whatever's going on, do you get more stressed out feeling like we need to find something to help this family and these children, or is it just one of those things that it's just like any other investigation? Let's get in and get the information and get it to them and then make a decision.
I mean, I wouldn't say that it's more stressful. I think it's more of an urgency, especially if it's waking kids up or scratching kids or pushing them or something. There's that urgency, but I don't think it stresses us out more. It just makes us more determined, if anything, and makes us step up our game.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I had a question really quick because I saw Chris on here asked a question. Wanted us to ask you about the Canterbury House.
Oh yes, that's that's my co-founder there, Chris. So he's asking questions now. Yeah, so Canterbury, we just did. I want to say maybe a month ago. Small house. It's literally the size of just like 2 rooms. That was an interesting case. They were actually having like a peeping Tom spirit.
Ooh.
So every time they would, sleep together, they would hear footsteps. They would feel like someone's watching them. They would hear like someone was like tapping on the window, or running their fingers against the glass, things like that.
Ugh. Weird.
And Brock, which there's another case we're going to talk about.
The infield?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Enfield.
Yeah. Yeah, I almost forgot there for a minute. I'm sitting over here coughing my head off, and I don't know why.
Stop it.
Can you tell us a little bit about the infield
Trying to
case?
help.
All right, so Enfield, we actually didn't get that when it was a very active case. This family lived with a demonic entity for 8 years, about, and it absolutely destroyed their lives. I mean, even now they're trying to piece their lives back together. They were actually on a couple different TV shows. They were on The Haunted Collector and The Haunted and things like that as well. I don't even know where to start with that house. 1700s house. There's been confirmed 30 plus deaths associated with the house.
Wow.
Suicides, homicides, accidents,
Ooh.
illness, you name it. It's been in that house.
Where is Canterbury? Connecticut or Massachusetts?
Connecticut.
So what were they? So what this family for the Enfield? How long did you stay there at that home investigating?
Well, like I said, we picked it up after the fact, so the demonic entity that was in the home was already gone.
Did you feel
it took
anything?
Oh yeah, I mean, as soon as you walk into the house, I mean, you feel the energy hits you in the face. I mean, there's so much residual energy. There's been so many mediums, psychics, empaths, and different kinds of people in that house, and they all get visions of people's like throats getting slit in the basement, rituals, just all kinds of bad stuff. Like I said, I could list off deaths in the house. Every room you pretty much go in, oh, someone died here, someone died here.
Are they still living there now?
Yes, they are. Everything, supposedly all the evil entities are gone, and the only thing that's remaining there is residual energy, just from its violent history.
Is it possible that, I mean, I lived in a house in New York that was there was a lot of activity in there, and I left after 6 weeks. I just was like, this is crazy. I'm not staying here. So you guys all have done this for a living, or not for a living, but it's part of your what you do, being, investigators. Do they really, can you get them to just go away? Or is there always going to be something left behind? Maybe I'm asking a really silly question, but, I didn't stay around long enough to even have anyone come and investigate, nor would I would have wanted it. I just wanted to get out. So with you guys, with all the investigations you guys have done, and if you've gone back, is it ever possible to completely get rid of something? I just asked like a mile-long question. I'm sorry. Yeah, run-on question, Jen. Go ahead.
I mean, I think so. At least the Enfield home would be an indication of that. there's a reverend from Pennsylvania who actually went in there, and he was the only person who was able to get rid of it. And ever since that day, they have had zero activity that was, like it was during that initial 8 years. I know Bishop McKenna tried going in there, and he actually performed an exorcism on the house, and it failed. It didn't work.
Now, I think I know the answer to this one, but I just want to clear it up. I know in The Conjuring 2, the place that they visited was the Enfield also, but that's in overseas and not
England.
What you're talking about.
Right. So Enfield, Connecticut is the home. It's actually called the Enfield Demon House. If you Google it, I'm sure you'll get search results.
Oh my God.
Nice. Yeah, but it's funny to me that you had two places kind of called the same thing, and that had this, had some type of demonic activity in it. That's kind of creepy.
Yeah, no, this thing was no joke. I mean, when the wife was pregnant, it pushed her down the stairs.
Oh crap!
They heard, you're gonna die come through the baby monitor. It would show itself. He would hear hooves coming down the attic stairs.
Oof. Oh.
I mean, these people couldn't do anything. They lost jobs. They've had friends who won't visit them anymore because things have happened to them. It followed them, things like that.
I just looked this up quick, and they said I'm not going to give the address, but the home was built in 1771, and town historians believe at least 22 to 24 people have met their unusual and grim deaths inside the home. Gunshot wounds, suicide, falling down the stairs, hemorrhaging. Doctor in the 1930s shot himself in the head.
It's actually more than that too. That's what I was helping the owner with after the fact, was finding more information about the history, because from 1771 until about 1820 or so, there's no information on the original owner. Right. So we were going through the cemeteries and finding more information than anyone else was able to find, and we actually found that there's actually way more deaths than we know of. I mean, he found shotgun shells inside the wall.
Mm-hmm.
They also have, they're talking about some investigators that went there, were attacked and burnt, scratched the children, making blood appear in the basement, calling their names in the basement. You're all going to die across the baby monitor, like you said. Wow, that's crazy. Yep. And you can find a lot of information.
The children used to face the crawl space in the basement, and they used to talk just to no one's there. They used to just talk like someone was there, and they used to call this man Spooky. And, the father would come downstairs and say, "Who are you talking to?" And they would say, "Oh, we're talking to Spooky, and he wants me to go in there." And, the father's like, "Well, come back upstairs."
Oh my God.
Wow. And Dave, we only have 6 minutes left. We wanted to talk about the A&E TV show.
Yeah, we could do that.
What was that about?
So our team got contacted by a production company, wanted to know a little bit about us. Said they were going to be filming a TV pilot for a possible new show for the network, and they wanted to interview us. So we actually went through, I think, 3 or 4 interviews over 3 or 4 months, and finally actually got chosen to be in this pilot. The network actually picked our group out of a bunch of groups in the tri-state area. So we went to New York. We stayed overnight, and we filmed a TV pilot. So there was like 6 cameras on us at all times. And we just went in there to see if we could help this family and give them some knowledge of what was going on.
Well,
so what's happening now? I mean, are you guys waiting to get a pickup, or where's that standing?
Yeah, I guess they said they were going to take the footage and edit it together, and then they make a pilot, and then they show it to the network as a completed product. And if they
Right.
like it, they pick
Right.
it up. So right now
I
we're
got
just
it.
playing the waiting game.
Yeah, it's not sold yet. So that I got it. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome though. Does it have a title yet? Do you know?
I do know it, but I'm not allowed to say it.
You're not allowed to say. Very good. Okay, cool. That's exciting, Dave.
Yeah, it was very rewarding that all the time and the hours that we put into doing this is actually starting to pay off a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And now, did you find having the camera crew with you? It was a different experience.
Yes and no. I give them credit for they really let us do our thing, let us do what we had to do. So they kind of worked around that. So they were great. But I mean, it's a little jarring. I mean, we couldn't meet the family until they were ready because they were going to film the initial meeting. The owners answered the door. They were holding cameras, actually pointing like right at our faces.
Oh, right. Right. Yeah, it becomes a whole different experience, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we have a couple minutes left. Dave, like I said again, for people not in the chat, we're sharing your links, all over the place. For people just listening, how can they find your pages again?
We have our website, easternctparanormal.com, which we're still playing catch up, so I apologize. Not all the evidence is up. But on that website, you can find our Facebook, our SoundCloud, our Instagram, our YouTube channel. So you'll actually find our video and audio evidence on those social media accounts.
Right on. And you did. I
if
did
anyone
watch.
Out there,
yeah.
Sorry, if anyone out there works for Dunkin' Donuts, we definitely could use a sponsorship.
At least
That's
a
awesome.
box of Joe a night, right?
Oh, if two boxes.
I was watching your last live feed, I think, and you were getting some great EVPs. I think one said your name. That part we couldn't download them in time.
That happens all the time. We do a lot of the flashlight communication stuff, and we get some pretty solid answers. Most of the time, I would say, and it's funny. Every case we're improving, and we're getting more evidence, and we're finding things that work better. And things are just going great right now, so I have no complaints.
And we only have like 2 minutes left. We'll clear last question.
I have a question for you. So, Dave, what in 2 minutes was the scariest experience you had?
Oh, Jesus. I don't think I've ever been. I mean, I've been startled. I've had like at the Canterbury House, I had a pan crash, seemingly out of nowhere, and it scared the hell out of me. Walking around the Enfield house, I did a basement session by myself, and just knowing everything that happened down there, walking around there by myself was actually the longest 10 minutes of my life. But I've never really, I still maintain my very scientific, logical views. I've never had anything, I would say, supernatural, scare me yet.
Right.
I know Chris has some stories I'm sure he could share with you. But I don't think I have anything really substantial.
Got it.
All right. And I told you it was going to fly by. Dave, we're out of time. Dave Bray, thank you for joining us. Dave is the co-founder and lead investigator of Eastern Connecticut Paranormal Society. We look forward to your live investigations. Hope you got some new fans out there. And,
absolutely, guys, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks,
welcome.
Dave.
Have a good one.
Good night, boys.
Good night, everybody. See you next week.